us in, babe.
Welcome to Coco Caliente.
And we're still in.
We're still in.
And it wasn't as bad as last time. Still a little stressful, but not like nearly as...
Not like a non-limb stressful, right?
Last place thinking you're out. Exactly. So that was good. Where to start?
I think we should start with the U-turn. Why our thoughts were so different on who we thought we should U-turn, especially we couldn't plan for this moment.
Yeah,
like we thought
sucks.
We were running to like get a clue
U-turn board.
Or a U-turn board, right?
Yeah. But like an open democracy vote where everybody gets to hear what you're saying and just go down the line and the first two teams to get the most votes, get U-turned. That's a little stressful.
Yeah, and so we had to vote second.
Yeah.
And Victor, what are your thoughts on why you decided why you thought like Afghanimals? Why did that come to your mind?
So a couple things. First off, I thought, just for starters, I thought everybody got to vote twice. Right. So right off the bat, I thought everybody got to vote twice. So we get to go like, a round robin, whatever. Again, on top of that, the last leg was so stressful on you, Nicole, because we had another team like essentially attacking us, right?
Yeah.
And just intimidating the whole time. And that threw you off your game, which threw me off my game and caused, tension, right? So I was like, well, the last thing I want to do is have that happen again. I want to be out of any, back and forth as much as possible. And lastly, when the Riley sisters didn't vote to U-turn us, I was like, oh, well, I mean, if they had, I would have voted right back for them, right? Tit for tat. Yeah. But since they didn't, I was like, well, let me just not cause any rifts with them anymore. And the Afghanimals did lie to us when we almost got first place earlier in Laos. I was thinking about that, and I was like, and they're a strong team. Okay. So I was like, you know what? Let me just throw one the Afghanimals' way. And so that was my thought process.
That's a good thought process.
Yeah.
So my thought process was, I guess I kind of just thought we already have one team against us, like going to do everything they can to stop us from winning. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want it to be two teams. So it was very easy for me to think, okay, Rachel and Alyssa don't like us. They're never going to trust us. They're never going to work with us. And they were throwing out so much like juju that I didn't want.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just being around them,
I
was uncomfortable because I knew how much they
disliked us,
and just staring us down. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted that to be gone because that was like going to be two legs of being uncomfortable, and it's already hard enough to run the race without being uncomfortable. And so I just kind of thought, let's just do that. And I also knew we had a speed bump, obviously, and I thought, wow, like, I know teams get U-turned, but they still beat. The good teams getting U-turned still beat the not-so-good teams. And we also had a speed bump. So I was like, okay, who can we... I just don't want to get last. I do not want to get out. So who can we U-turn that will keep us still in the game? And that was my strategy behind it. So, yeah, it was a little bit emotional, I guess, because I was just not wanting to be around them anymore. But it was also strategic in the fact of I thought we could beat them being U-turned if they were U-turned and we had the speed bump.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if we could beat like Colin and Christy or Team Fun or Tyler and Corey. Like I didn't think we could ever beat them even if they got U-turned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's a completely fair assessment. Yeah.
And they have, I think they've all have experience doing that. Like Afghanimals are the ones who have beat more U-turns than any other team ever.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of got stressed when you said their name. I'm like, you don't want to U-turn a good team and have them A, not get U-turned, or B, make it through, and so then they hold on to that later on, and they beat you to the U-turn board next time.
Yeah. No, and that's a fair assessment, and the only issue with all of it is that we didn't get to do like a side panel and talk about it, with nobody else around.
Right, and I did say, and I am mad at myself because I was just like, do whatever, but the fact that I already said their name and they're right next to me, I was just like, oh my God, like I don't want to have to say their name again. Like they're going to hear me. And I guess what does it matter if they're going to hear me if you're going to say it anyways?
Yeah.
But I just like get really intimidated for some reason and get really like, I hate I hate fighting, and I just didn't want them to be like screaming because they heard me say their name. So I was just like, do whatever. And I kind of thought you would just do what I said, even though I said do whatever because I'm kind of passive. Mm-hmm. And then when you didn't, I was like,
yeah, that was tough. That was tough to go through.
But really, I should have been more
assertive.
I should have been just clear. Like, we have to do this for our game.
Yeah, just
because to make me feel better, to make me feel comfortable.
Do that, and that's it.
Yeah,
that would have been
there's no
it.
other. Yeah. And then when we got to the mat, I also wanted to clear this up. And I was sitting there saying, yeah, that was Victor. Yeah, like Victor did that to the Afghanimals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was playing the game still because I didn't want them to hold on to a grudge, so I wanted to be like, dude, only half the team. So you can't U-turn half a team later on. Like, I just knew that they wouldn't trust us again for throwing their name out there so randomly. And we are so lucky that the Afghanimals... Oh, I also didn't want to vote for a team that didn't get to vote yet because then they can say our name back. So I was like, well, Rachel and Alyssa already voted. Let's just say them, and then we're done. Like, everyone knows we have bad blood with them. Let's just do it. And that was another thing. So I think I was just so shocked that we, like, ruffled the waves again with some other team that I was like, crap, this isn't good. Mm-hmm. But we made it, and the Afghanimals are, like, laughing with us at least. But
yeah. At the end, when it was all said and done, it was fine, and I was happy it worked out the way it did. Because then, like you said, we might have ruffled feathers with one team, but the initial team that we had arguments with, they were out. So we don't have to deal with that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And aside from that, I guess that was the most stressful part of the leg by far. I mean, everything else was kind of like straightforward. Like doing those flags and folding them took a long time.
Yeah, and it was funny that we were just like arguing while we did not stop folding. We're just like fold.
Yeah, just keep going because you don't have any time to spare, right?
Yeah.
And all those seconds count. And so then even like dressing the cow and bringing the cow, which was a lot harder than it looked, bringing the cow to the festival.
What
or whatever.
I didn't understand was like why some people's flags were up and why some people's flags were down with the cow.
I thought it had to look exactly like the model or whatever you had to replicate. So
yeah, no, it's weird because you don't see other people's really. Mm-hmm. You're not like you're just like focusing on yours. And we didn't even put the headpiece on, right? They do. So
they do.
I think they showed it. Like you hand it to the guy and the guy puts it on.
It has to be the way that it fits for the cow's head.
Oh, so it can be either way.
No.
Oh.
So the thing that we're putting the flowers on has a certain shape. And that shape is supposed to be facing a certain way to fit on the cow's head comfortably.
Got
you know what I mean? So if you mount all your flowers upside down, you know what I mean? When they put
so
it,
we
it's
should have looked at the
down.
back too to see which way
we got it right.
Yeah, okay.
We got it right. That's what I mean. I mean,
okay.
like it's like if I'm putting up together a rack, like and I put a piece upside down. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, because I was just like, I guess the flags can be facing whatever way. So I just didn't. We just took a lot of time. We were really serious on getting it right. It was
details like that are frustrating because, like you're saying, like
you spend a lot of time perfecting it, and then if it didn't matter, right?
Exactly. Coco Caliente is brought to you by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of amazing classes covering dozens of creative and entrepreneurial skills. Which, for you, Nicole, that's perfect because what's something that you've been talking about you want to learn more?
I want to learn how to take better photography. So you can take classes in everything from photography to creative writing to design to productivity and more.
So it's like one of those things, continuing learning is the best thing that you can do. And especially if there's some passion of yours that you want to get better at, I mean, Skillshare is the way to go. And so, join the millions of students already learning on Skillshare today with a special offer just for our listeners. Get 2 months of Skillshare for free.
That's right. Skillshare is offering Coco Caliente listeners 2 months of unlimited access to thousands of classes for free.
To sign up, go to Skillshare.com/Coco. Again, go to Skillshare.com/Coco to start your 2 months now. That's Skillshare.com/Coco.
But it was kind of fun to make the headpiece, like with flowers and stuff. And then being with a cow was cool. That was a super easy decision for us to do cows for some reason.
Yeah, like, animals.
We'll talk with Chris soon and learn about like the haymaking.
Yeah,
it looks pretty tough.
That seemed like a lot of work.
Yeah, so I think you would have had to do the raking
Would've
or
been
like the
sweating.
cutting, and I would have had to rake.
Yeah, Becca seemed like she had an easy time with that, but we'll get to that later. And then the shooting of the apple, that was... Well, actually, we redeemed ourselves on the driving, right?
Yeah, we went right to the right location. How did that happen?
So, like, I remember us driving... we did have to turn around once, right, when we left. We turned around once. But then when we were driving, it wasn't bad at all. And I honestly... you were telling me to go, a certain way, and I was driving, and I was like... I'm not sure if this is the right way, but you know what? I'm just going to go with it because you told me to get directions last time, and I didn't get that last set of directions, so we're just going to go with it. And it was actually a little bit of a drive, so I could see how the Afghanimals could go the wrong way.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? And
we got so lucky, and I think like when you're the mindset of when you're at the end of the pack, or you're at the beginning, it's different. You're kind of more like we didn't double think it. If we're at the head of the pack, we're kind of like, okay, we got time to like, let's try to figure it out. But when we're at the end, we're just like, just turn here, turn here, turn here. Don't do anything else. And if it's wrong, we're really screwed. But if it's right, which it was.
I mean, you really have no other option, though. You know what I mean?
No, I guess not. I guess we had no time to drive around for 30 minutes. So thank goodness we did not get lost.
The other thing, though, is that other teams have, I'll follow you.
Oh, yeah,
you know
that's
what I
true.
mean?
We never have
didn't have that.
Yeah,
so,
last time or this time. So we're just kind of on our own.
Always. And that's the most stressful of all things.
Yeah, especially
right?
if you're following like a really good team that has experience. Oh, my gosh, how relaxing. I might drive then.
Yeah, but the shooting of the apple stuff, that was a lot harder than it looked. Just because if you hit the target and you know how the target fell apart, it didn't matter if you still had 4 shots that you can take. You had to wait for everybody to be done and then go out there when it was safe and put it all back together. So like shooting high and aiming high was the way to go, but it took me a second to learn that, and just watching teams pass by was killer. And I can't imagine being from the sidelines, like how
Yeah, I just realized how quickly, when it was everybody shooting at the same time, how quickly if someone just randomly got it without even like aiming, it could change.
Yeah.
And I think it was really hard because it didn't matter if you were there for 45 minutes working on it. You could get it on your first shot. And so that was what was scary for me on the sidelines, because I'm just like, oh my gosh.
And yeah, teams that showed up after us leave before us.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I never thought like, oh my gosh, I should do this, because I think I would just like crumble. Being so scared and just frustrated, because it was like the same thing was happening every single time. Like the head kept coming off, and I'm not allowed to be like, aim higher, or like I'm not allowed to say anything, because on the sideline sometimes you figure things out because you're watching everyone and then you're talking with a group of people, so you can kind of figure out what's going on, but you're not allowed to share that with your partner.
Yeah, you can't help.
Just like when I was in the rave and I was like listening or trying to find who was listening to the same beat as me.
I couldn't point.
Like you and Colin were like thinking, just grab anyone, right? Was it you and Colin?
No, it was
you and Brett?
me and Brett. Or Chris. Me and Chris.
Yeah, you and Chris. Just like grab anyone. And like, that's a great strategy. But like here me and Brett are like trying to dance and like figure it out. But you figure out that would be faster.
Yeah.
So on the sidelines, and I think you used to be able to help your partner way back in the day on Amazing Race with from the sidelines. And that could be so helpful. And then now it's
Big
like
time.
penalty if you do. So anyways, you did so good, and like I knew you would get it. It was just win. Yeah. And we'll leave the rest of the race for Chris, but I want to do now with you is Spanish word of the day. Okay.
So the Spanish word of the day is vaca. VACA. Vaca.
Vacation.
Not vacay. Oh. Which actually would be vacación.
Voting.
No. That would be votar. So far you have vacación, which is vacation, which is not vaca, and votar, which is vote.
Okay.
So just think about what we did in this episode.
Okay, we handled the cow. We went on a boat, and
So what'd you pick?
A cow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Moo.
See, I never would have thought that was cow.
Vaca, yeah.
Vaca.
La vaca. There's a song literally goes like the cow, moo, the cow, la vaca, moo, la vaca, moo, la vaca.
If I heard
La
that
misma
song,
vaca, esa vaca. Yeah.
I would know that.
It's actually a funny song. I really like it. So one of the toughest things for me lately is actually sticking to my diet.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is hard, and I have to refrain, but just change my mind to where it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle, and that's exactly what this new app that I'm trying is doing. It's called Noom.
Yeah, how's that going?
It's going good. Basically, they have this online community, and they have these specialists, and it's basically a bundle of like a behavior change professional, nutrition expert, and a fitness trainer all in one, and it's for less than the price of like one training session.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty crazy. And they have that, community for you that, can help keep you encouraged and on track. So it's really cool. I like it. I don't know. It's just different, right?
Yeah, because it's like got everything you want. It does something with your food. You can track your food. Visualize the portion sizes.
Yeah, and you can take this, it's like a 30-second online evaluation that can show you how much weight you can lose and keep off, right? And not everybody has time, right? We're always strapped for time, but this Noom is just telling you to commit 10 minutes a day to this, and they'll like, give you the encouragement and the tools that you need to change your life.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
It's really awesome. So if you visit today, go to Noom.com/Coco, and you should start your trial. I mean, what do you have to lose? You can start a new life, start new habits. So again, that's Noom.com/Coco. But anyways, we will have Chris on for your entertainment. We'll get into a little bit of his background and, with Survivor and now with the race and being partners with Brett and meeting Brett and having, such a crazy dynamic duo bromance.
Yeah.
That's all.
We love them.
Yeah, they're really awesome. And I think you guys are going to enjoy this.
Yes.
Chris, thank you so much for being on the show with us this morning, and it was nice having you and Brett around. You guys,
for sure, really super down to earth, likable people.
Yeah, and genuine. You know what I mean? Like we can sit and talk, for a long. You know how those airport, just sitting there for hours and
absolutely.
And
it's nice to have somebody to actually speak to that's not totally consumed with other things. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Exactly. So no, we really appreciate you for that. And I guess we'll just hop into it. I want to go back to before you were on reality TV. Like, what do you do now? Because I think it's really interesting what you do. And so I'll just let you take it away.
Sure. Yeah. I became I've always wanted to be not always wanted to be a lawyer, but I have a kind of an interesting background. My father got in a lot of trouble when I was probably about 13 or 14, and he went to prison. And, it was a situation where no doubt he was guilty, but I felt like he got kind of a raw deal, so to speak. So I think that's where I struck a chord to me to become a lawyer. And so now I'm a trial lawyer. So I actually go to court, do jury trials. Main practice now is helping injury victims. So people who are hurt or in a wreck or I do a lot of civil rights stuff where somebody's maybe wrongfully, like police brutality type of stuff.
Yeah.
And which is interesting with Brett, of course, because he's like, "Oh, the cops never do anything wrong." And I'm like, well, not true. So that's where what I do now is the whole trial lawyer stuff, which is. It's interesting, but it, kind of high stress, high risk stuff. So, but really, really rewarding in the end, though.
Yeah, I think it's so cool because you're like the guys in the movies. So, like he's not like just a little lawyer with a tiny little office and just getting by. He has a nice office. And don't you have like a replica
courtroom?
I
have a courtroom. I have
crazy.
A full size courtroom in my office so that we bring in potential real people that are going to actually decide a case, and we ask them what they think about our case, because in the end that's really what's going to happen. So it's kind of like a cheat sheet, you know. We ask them beforehand, and then that way we're not surprised at trial by some issue that comes up, and it really it's really fun. I mean, and it's nice to have somewhere to actually practice and get comfortable,
Yeah, for sure.
And have you ever thought, and before we get into anything else real quick, have you ever thought about doing like, because I watch, like Making a Murder or like The Staircase, on Netflix, and those murder trials, are not only, it's very sad, but it's like super interesting to see everything that goes behind the scenes, especially with the lawyers.
Right.
Have you ever thought about that?
I've actually been approached by some people, and I think the hardest part with those type of situations on most of them you see are cases that have kind of already been done, and they've documented it, and that because you run into a lot of confidentiality problems as you go through. But we do have a couple of cases that are so interesting. I've reached out to some people who've done some documentaries in the past, and we may actually do something along those lines, because I think we have some important cases that highlight some important issues about mental illness and poor people and the disparity and how they're treated, not only by police, but by just the general public, So
that's so interesting.
I'll sign up to watch
for sure.
Okay, so that's awesome. So you definitely do have a different background than most people that go into the reality TV world. So segue that into, how the heck did you get on Survivor?
All right, so Survivor, like day one, it hooked me. Like I watched first season, and then of course season 2, Australian Outback, Colby was on there, and that really hooked me. I was like, big fan, I was like, I could do what he's doing. And so I started trying out like immediately videos, back then you sent in a VHS recording, and I was like a poor kid. I was like, where do I even get a VHS recorder? I'd like you borrow these things.
Oh, so this is pre-lawyer. This is pre-Chris the lawyer.
This is like, this is back when I was at OU, just going to college.
Wow.
Yeah. And anyways, I'd go to open casting calls, but I tried out for a good 16 years.
Oh, wow.
And I guess I finally just kind of fit a niche they were looking for. They were looking for like kind of a married guy with kids and a little bit successful. And I kind of fit a niche, I guess, finally, and got hooked in there. And of course, Brett and I were in the same casting group,
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. We went through the whole thing together, staring at each other across the room.
Yeah. That's funny.
It's kind of funny. But I finally got on. This, no one really knows this. I've never put it out on YouTube or anything. I think I'd probably break the internet. But
that's what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. Yes, I remember what you did.
My video was, I literally went outside and I said, "This is my dog Jake. This is my dog Jake's poop." And I took a bite of it on camera. And then, of course, I said, I just ate, shit to be on Survivor. And so I was like, I got a call from casting, and they said, literally, you're either going to be on the show or we're never going to talk to you again.
That's so crazy.
At least it got the attention I needed, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
And I wish you could do a compilation video of all the videos that you submitted over all those years, because you literally grow up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I look back, we pulled out the first one I ever sent. We actually have it somewhere. My buddy pulled it out. That he kind of shot it for me, and it was set to Survivor, the Eye of the Tiger.
Oh my God, that's awesome!
And I'm running through the football stadium and lifting weights, and it was really stupid. I'd have been a total mess. I totally was not mature enough to be on Survivor. I would have been a total mess and been out in day 2 probably.
Wow. So what was that first? I guess your first reality TV experience ever? Going on Survivor. How was that, and how was meeting a Brett? Which now you guys are
super brothers.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, we hit it off. First of all, it was just dream come true. Survivor was my thing, man. I was hooked on it from day one. But getting to meet Jeff and be on the mat, but Brett and I, day one, we hooked up building the shelter, and that's where we bonded. Immediately Brett and I were just. we were the same kind of guy, you know. He was a hardworking guy. We were kind of grinded out guys, and we just hit it off immediately. And never really. He was on, you know. I had him and Sunday on there, and we could trust each other. And y'all know, being on reality, if you got anybody you can trust at all on these type of shows,
that's gold.
It's real. But there's no way I would have you guys. We saw it last night. Brett and I would not have backstabbed our people. Over $1 million, over 5 million, over a bazillion. It wouldn't have mattered. We're just not, that's just not us, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what we had on Survivor. But when we got off Survivor, we just hit it off. But I told Brett, literally within months of being off Survivor, I said, dude, someday, I said, me and you we're funny together. We're just such a odd couple.
Yeah.
I go, someday we're going to be on Amazing Race, dude. And it happened. It was really funny. Brett talks about it all the time. He's like, I can't believe it. You said it all along. We just, and so it was, but it was interesting. You know, it's great being on the show and making it as far as I did, but the relationships, even with people that I beefed with, you know, I mean, a lot of the people that were responsible for blindsiding me, I'm really good friends with.
Yeah.
You know?
And what season and what place did you get?
We were season 33, Millennials versus Gen X. I was third out on the jury. I'm not sure what place it is. So I was the third one put on the jury.
Got you.
They came for me. I was just right there on the cusp. If I would have gotten through that vote, I'd have been in good shape. But,
oh man!
You know, but they came and got me. Wham!
All right. So what was it like getting the call to do Amazing Race and then to be doing it with Brett, right? Of all people, and did you guys just freak out?
Well, it was kind of ups and downs. So we got called in say April. And I was at my son's baseball game, and I got called, and I was like, "Yes, this is awesome." They were like, "Hey, do y'all want to potentially do race with Brett?" And I was like, "Oh, absolutely." I know Brett's saying the same thing. But then we got a call maybe just a few days later, and they said, "Look, you guys are at best alternates. Sorry." And we were bummed, and Brett was in depression, and he just started eating donuts and drinking coffee and consuming gallons of beer.
To your point, we were in the same boat, and we were I'm not even going to try to get in shape or anything.
Right? We didn't. We just kind of blew it off, and we were disappointed. But we still had to go out and kind of do the stuff.
The shots and paperwork and all that.
Yeah, and I don't have any idea if it had anything to do with it, but we put on a show when we were doing that stuff. I mean, we were cracking everybody up, and we were like, tell us who's on the list, we'll go take them out. Just being complete morons, you know. But I don't know. It was maybe it was the Friday before the Tuesday that we left, and they called and said it was 11:30 at night, and they said you're on, and I hung up the phone, and my wife looked at me and goes, "What?" And I go, "Tuesday." she's like, "Tuesday? How are we going to get this done?"
Yeah.
Because I only run the entire law firm, so I got 4 days to figure out how I'm going to figure that out.
Yeah, that is actually pretty crazy because that's not something that I had to think about. Yeah, I had a job, but I didn't own my own business, especially a law firm at that. Drop everything and go in 4 days.
I got 10 attorneys and 15 staff, and I'm like, "Hey, by the way, I'm going to leave, and y'all don't know where I'm going." And they're like, "Oh my God, are you going back on Survivor?" And I was like, "No, I actually am not, and I can't tell you where I'm going."
It's about a month I'll be gone, so hold down the fort, make sure everything's running when I get back.
Yeah, luckily, when I went on Survivor, I had built this kind of this notebook, the Bible of my law firm that had instructions on how to do things that I do, and so I already had the book, So I was like, "Here's the manual." I gave it to my, right hand lady and my right hand man, and said, "Okay, here you go, guys. Y'all can keep us afloat while I'm gone."
That's all. Hey, at least you had that prepared.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Right. It was funny. I pulled it out. I was like, because when I was going to throw it away, and I go, well, only in case. Let me just keep this.
Yes.
Yeah. And then so now you guys are running the race. We go through a couple countries. And you guys aren't doing, I mean, you guys aren't doing half bad, right? At the beginning, right? Because like everybody else, we're all in the same boat that has never done it before. We don't know how we're going to do,
Yeah.
And then as it goes on, you guys start doing better and better.
Yeah, now you're almost got first.
I know. This ever so elusive. Didn't you guys get like second place twice or something like that?
We did. Yeah, we've done. So we start out like just complete morons, like everybody that has ever
exactly
never done
that's
this.
never done it. It's like, what do we do?
But then we started we went to, I don't remember where we kind of made it was after wherever we were at when it was the second leg of Vietnam. I think we got third, and then Dubai we got second, and then we kind of fell back in Uganda. But then this is our second.
Yeah.
And that's great, and that's with you carrying Brett's backpack.
Oh my gosh!
Well, foot races suck.
I wish they would show more of that. I mean, because everybody thinks that it's just that one or two shows. I carried that man's backpack this entire race, and his backpack had like lead bricks in it or something. I don't know what the hell he was carrying all the time.
And the thing is, you guys are grown men, and not just like short either. You guys are big, so your clothes is just heavier in general than our clothes, and you guys had that full size backpack.
I know, we were complete morons. We had like giant like camping backpacks. Everybody else had like these little satchels, like Brett and I we're carrying like kitchen sink on our back.
Yeah.
And I think the funniest part, which it wasn't shown, but when we were running in, I think it was in Vietnam, the second part of Vietnam, after we did the baskets rowing. Yeah. So we're running, and it was me, Nicole, Colin, and Christy, and you and Brett behind us. Mm-hmm. And I tell Nicole, give me your backpack, and she gives me. And then Colin looks at us and is like, hey, Christy, give me your backpack, and whatever. Yeah. And then
this is my favorite.
And then Brett looks at you, is like, hey, take my backpack.
I know. If they'd have showed that, it would have been like
so
hilarious.
I was laughing as I was running because I was like, "This is gold right here."
Oh my gosh! Oh
yeah. I mean, this leg was hilarious. Like it literally, Brett. So they show a little bit of it. If y'all notice, like when we ran to as Brett calls it, the funtacular.
Yeah.
When we ran to that, we literally Brett's backpack opened up and he didn't know it, and he yard sailed all his stuff.
No.
Oh my god!
It was like his medicine, his like travel kit, all this stuff was just everywhere. And there was like some people on the trail, and they were picking up his stuff.
Oh my gosh!
And Brett's like, oh my God, where's all my stuff? And I'm like, forget your stuff. Let's get out of here. But it's just typical Brett, like he's just bumbling around, dropping everything along the way, and everybody's just dying laughing. And I'm like, oh Lord. But then you guys know that hill was insane.
Okay, yeah. So we
we
ran to, what's it actually called? Not vernacular? What's it called?
I think it's like the vernacular or something.
Okay.
I don't know what
the trolley car.
Yeah, so we ran to that too because we saw how steep the run was, and we couldn't even find it. So maybe it just like it wasn't there. So we ran all the way up the hill, and like that was the hardest run I think I've ever. It was so steep.
Yeah, it was a steep side of a mountain, and just to give everybody a visual, it's not like you just go straight up. It's zigzags. So you go about I don't know, maybe like 0.3, 0.4 miles side, or maybe say 0.3 miles sideways, and then up, and then sideways, and then up, and then sideways, and it just zigzags all the way up. It felt like over 2 miles at least.
It was so long.
It was crazy, and Brett and I, Corey and Tyler by that time, Brett and I, of course, as we have the whole race, we kind of bumble around and finally find the dock, and Corey and Tyler are on us, and we said, look, there's no way Brett's going to be able to keep up, you know? So we ran to the trolley car, and it wasn't there. They said 10 o'clock or something was the first one. I was like, oh Lord. So then we ran back, and then I put on his pack, and I carried that thing up the top, and it was brutal because Brett was dying. I mean, Brett was literally dying.
Yeah.
he's gonna kill me when he hears this, but he was dying. I was like, dude, because I was scared. Like, I didn't know who was in third.
Who else?
And I didn't know who else, and I was like, dude, we can't get overtaken. Like, we got to hump it up this hill. And you guys ran up it. It was hard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we had to stop a couple of times. Nicole got frustrated and like, yeah, we got it. And I'm like,
because it was just very steep and very difficult. And I just, right when you think you're like going to be there, you're like, again?
Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, you can't see the top of it.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the middle of it or whatever, you think that next turn is going to be it.
And there's another and another and another.
And I was thinking if someone was taking like the lift, we would be past. Because I mean, it probably took us like so long to get up that hill.
Oh, I'd say at least 20 minutes to half an hour.
Yeah, so if someone's riding up, that's what I'm like panicking at the same time. What if they found it and they're like riding up and we're in last? So it was so, and then watching our poor cameraman, like, oh my God.
Oh man.
Unsung heroes.
Yeah, they were tough. I mean, because that was a brutal hike, and they'd have to run to get ahead, and then film back, and then run again. And I don't know how they did it because, I was humping a lot of weight too, but they're running backwards and they're running all day with that stuff.
And they don't put the cameras down either. You know what I mean?
No,
like it's
incredible.
Not. Yeah, when we're doing a challenge and all our backpacks are off, they're still running around catching shots with the camera.
You got to be in the best shape to do that.
Still running around. It was crazy.
So if Phil had been at the dock, you guys got to the dock first, right? So you guys would have gotten first had he just been like standing right close. Right?
Yeah, and Brett and I made a huge mistake. So, the clue said like it's to the right or something.
Yeah.
Well, we start straight across the lake. And then we're like, where is it? Where is it? Well,
instead of diagonal.
Corey and Tyler took the diagonal route, which is what we should have. So that's how they caught up with us, or we would have. Now, I don't know if we still would have beat them to the top because Brett just couldn't. He could. Yeah. There was not going to be a jog. I had him like pumping his arms, like walking as fast as we could. He was doing the same thing, like when you see in the first run up the hill wherever we were to the vote when he's going, I'm trying. And I was like, God, you got to go faster, bro. We got to get to the top.
Yeah. And those boats, they also weren't speed boats either for anybody that's thinking that these things are going to floor it and go fast. The lighter you are, the easier it is too. You know what I mean?
Well, I thought it was interesting that they made the boats like that because it made for so you couldn't if you were good with a boat, like I'm a boat guy, I could have just buzzed around and got there real fast no matter what. But that made it mattered which just with Brett and I, the angle mattered.
Yeah,
we were
exactly.
we were way ahead of Corey and Tyler. We were way ahead, and we took all that time going across. And then when they got that cutoff angle, it made up all the time.
And I will say that was one of the most beautiful rides I've ever taken in my life. I mean, talking about the mountains, all sides around you, the greenery, the water was so crystal clear, glacier blue. I mean, I was kind of happy that you can only go that fast because I was trying to take in the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, by far Switzerland is. If there's somewhere more beautiful than Switzerland, let me know, somebody, because
because it's probably impossible.
I just think it's the best place. I mean, it just feels clean. You just feel good there. I don't know.
Anytime anybody asks us, what's the best place that you went, and easy answer, Switzerland.
Yes.
By far. So I guess now let's get to the real meat and beef of our question here with you. So kind of walk us through the UTurn vote. You
guys are last to vote. So that's were you happy when you were drawn to be last? Like that's a good spot to be in, or were you worried?
Not really.
No,
I didn't like it. I mean, because it always comes down. It looks like it's your decision when it's really not. Yeah. I mean, but it kind of is at that point because you've got everybody laid out. So we're kind of like, dang, we're gonna be the bad guy or the good guy here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we were. So we get there, everybody thinks there's going to be something up that hill. and of course, Brett and I are last again. My boy's just dying. And we get up there and, we don't even have a backpack, luckily. We get up there and we see this and they put us in the order, and we're last. And I was like, oh Lord. But I was thinking, okay, we'll just, it was kind of, I think the as we called them, the O'Reilly sisters.
Was that on purpose, or did you?
It was.
Yeah, that's what I
was
thought.
on purpose.
I didn't. I was like, they knew their last names. I think it was just like.
To be honest, let's be honest here. Brutal honesty here. I would imagine that Brett really thought their name was O'Reilly for most of the show. I would say he definitely thought that. But we picked it up, and the production would go, "You guys do know their name is Riley," and we'd go, "Oh yeah, O'Reilly." Okay. So it was just it became our thing, and it made sense. Like Brett just sounds better saying O'Reilly. It's like he probably works with like 4 guys named O'Reilly at the Boston Police Department. Yeah. So it was just natural. But yeah, no, it became kind of our thing. We just thought it was funny because in reality, we did not have a relationship with Rachel and Alyssa. We didn't, and at all. That U-turn vote is the most words they spoke to us at that point. And it's interesting. Like watching back the show, Alyssa is like way more grounded than I thought. It's kind of like these first impressions, and then you really don't talk or you don't communicate. Linger on, because I thought Alyssa probably is the instigator or but watching the show, she was kind of the voice of reason in their team, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. I thought that was but it just goes to show you, like, if we just take one more step and have some real conversations with somebody, maybe all that changes, Maybe you make a connection on something, whatever that is. But that just didn't happen. So if we took, let me take you through our thought process on the U-turn vote.
All right.
So if we do this, we're looking at, first of all, Brett and I really took approach after we almost got eliminated. We said, look, one leg at a time. Whatever we got to do to get through the next leg, that's all we're going to care about. Yeah. So when we're at that U-turn vote, quite frankly, out of all the teams, we're sitting there looking at, if we U-turn the Rileys, they're probably going to be the last. They're probably going to be slower than everybody, which includes us, who we struggled in Uganda. We've struggled at times. And we said, this is the best chance for me and Brett to get through this leg. Okay. Is to U-turn these people who probably are going to struggle.
Opposed to a strong team that can maybe get out of that situation.
Yeah. So that was number one. Number two is that the race teams all had blown past U-turn after U-turn. Yeah. Did anybody there not think Colin and Christy were going to get through the U-turn? Right. I mean, I was like, when they U-turned them, I was like, they're going to probably beat all of us to the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think about it, at that point, Team Fun had passed the U-turn, Tyler and Corey had passed the U-turn.
Tyler and Corey.
And the Afghanimals have the record
had done it a million times.
Yeah, exactly.
So our deal was, and we didn't think that, we thought y'all could do it too. We said,
thank you.
U-turn? We really did. We were like, why would we U-turn these people who are probably going to beat us even with a U-turn? And then what if we have another one? Then we're going to get zapped down the road. Yeah. So that played into it. And then it did come down to relationships. That was our number one thing. We hadn't spoken to the Riley sisters. They hadn't spoken. We had tried, on the show, that's how we felt. Regardless of after the show, we're talking about this episode at that moment, right?
Exactly.
So it's not about after the show. We're talking about. We're recapping Switzerland.
Yeah, what's going on at that moment,
And at that moment, that's how we felt. I said it on the show. We didn't have enough Instagram followers. And that's how Brett and I felt. And we were like, we had relationships with you guys. You guys had a speed bump. And we were like, dude, we're not going to U-turn them and they got a speed bump. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, because you guys had been there too with the speed bump, and it's not fun feeling like you're already starting behind.
No, and we just weren't going to do it. And then all of the drama, probably from the previous deal, probably played a part in it. It just did. Brett and I didn't. We didn't feel that was we didn't like it. We just didn't like it. We didn't like how it went down, and that's how we felt. And at the end of the day, there's kind of like, Victor will know what I'm talking about here. Like, there's the football gods, there's the baseball gods. Well, there's the reality show gods. And in my world, if we don't do the right thing there, then maybe we get the reality gods bite us in the next one or the other one or something. So it was just, to me, it felt like it would be injustice to vote for somebody other than the ones we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how we felt. But we did also feel like at the end of the day, that was our best move to get us through that leg, Yeah. You don't know what's coming. And you're like, what if we have some kind of deal where we have to run up a hill just like we did and everybody passes us? Well, if they're not there to pass us, then we still are okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense. And it's all and
that's a good point too, saying like how we felt in that episode at that time, because like I'll get some tweets being like, well, they were telling the truth, or this, or like, why you voted emotionally. It's like, no, in that moment, I explained earlier, we podcasted this morning, but in that moment, I also felt you turning a strong team when we had a speed bump was not going to help us. You turning someone that already didn't like us and could potentially come in after us was my best strategic game move. And they already voted, so they couldn't vote against us after, like, out of like, oh, you vote for me, I vote for you. So that's kind of what was going through my head. But then, I panicked. I'm like, I don't know, do what you want. And in that moment, I just I didn't know what to do, and I knew what I wanted, but I wasn't like strong enough to be like, look, Vic, this is what we have to do to help me like move forward in the race, because I'm not comfortable right now in the race. I'm not feeling like I can be myself, or, even run. Like every time I saw them in that moment and in that leg, I was like uncomfortable because I never knew when it was going to happen again, or when they would, get mad at us again. And I just didn't want to live with that. So it was like, this is what I had to do. And it was like a little emotional because it was helping my emotional like being. But it was still also strategic, because that's like, I was there and I felt those and it was really real. But now watching back, it's like, it wasn't the smartest thing to do.
Well, you know what, though? What we all blow past, too, and it's highlighted over and over again, is this team, they were playing as hard as anybody out there, period. The Rileys were playing the game like they should be. They were playing for the mill, and they were a good team. She was the most experienced racer there, period.
True.
She has one big brother. This is a competitive team.
Right.
They would have thrown us off of a cliff to win the show.
Yeah.
And how can you not look at them as a threat just because of the gameplay? They were hustling more than anybody to do it. Now, did it bite them in the rear? Sure, it did. But at the same time, I saw them as a threat. But at the time, I said, I think if we U-turn them, they're going to be last no matter what Brett and I bonehead do, whether we cross the lake wrong, whether we don't know what's coming. But I thought that gives us the best chance to get past that leg. If I U-turn the Afghanimals, or I U-turn Colin and Christy, or Corey and Tyler, they blow past us. Well,
joke's on us, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we look like a moron. And I was like, that's it. That's all. So at the end of the day, it just – my strategy and Brett's strategy fit in with the emotional side, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, and to that point too, I mean, anybody that is watching or listening that hasn't been in that situation, you don't know what you would do.
Yeah, because watching myself back, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, Nicole, like you know, like it's hard.
There's no, you don't have a pause button and pause it and get to go, let's think this through right now. It's Phil staring at you. The whole teams are staring at you. Every camera's on you, and it's go time.
Yeah.
And, and it wasn't, it really wasn't, it didn't feel like to me that we had a lot of time to flush that out. It was, what do you got? Boom, 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 boom. Man. Which made for great TV. I mean, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all know how awkward that whole moment was.
It was so
everybody's
awkward.
like, I'm really sorry I have to do this, like calling Christy, and it's like, oh God.
It was a tense situation, but to that point, like anybody that like is watching TV or listening to this now and you didn't experience it, you guys get to see all the camera footage, all the angles, stuff that we don't see when we're racing, and then you can say, oh, I would have made this judgment call based on all the information when all we have is what we see with our own eyes and hear with our own ears.
And what you trust out of who's telling you what. So like when they came to us and told us that whole information, like we weren't as close to them as we were with Team Fun, but this U-turn right here, this was changed for us because of our previous week game move of we just felt like holding that information in, what they told us was not going to help us. And Team Fun we would have got U-turned. We 100%. Sure. Don't you think, Victor?
Yeah.
Team Fun has even said we would have U-turned you had you not asked us and we had to like lie to your face.
Yeah, we would have got U-turned here.
We would have got U-turned because this is when all of Afghanimals, that whole table sitting down would have U-turned us. And so we knew like asking them would maybe change their mind, and it freaking saved us. Yeah, it caused drama.
You know who else it might have saved? Oddly enough, if you recall back on the episode last night, Jamal and Leo, they were mad about what the Rileys did, and Jamal made the point. He said, well, let me give you a scenario. If we have a U-turn and it's down between Team Bromance and the Rileys, who are you doing, Leo? And he said, the Rileys. And he goes, see, things have changed.
Yeah.
And so oddly enough, they might have gotten up there, had that clique stayed together and said, the Rileys might have said, because they threw our name out too. They might have said, hey, look, y'all go Nick and Vic, we'll go Team Bromance, and one of them's going.
Right. That is true. That's a good point. Yeah. So it's so crazy how one little thing can change the rippling effect, but you just have to kind of see ahead, and you have to trust your gut, and you have to trust who you want to work with kind of moving forward.
Well, I think Nicole, you made a good point last week on your podcast, you and Vic both. It does matter about these relationships, and taking it, you got to take it further than, hey, we were on Big Brother together.
Yeah.
It's got to be more than that, because even though the Rileys at first glance were telling you the truth, at first glance, you guys didn't have that next step relationship where you could actually say, okay, is this more than gameplay?
Right. I didn't feel it.
Because at the end of the day, it was gameplay. They wanted you to go after Team Fun, and they didn't mention the Afghanimals to you.
Right.
Well, why not? Because because they wanted to hold that piece back. So
exactly. Had you guys told us that, we would have not verify the info. We would have just been, oh shit, like we need to get to the next place, because we hung out and we had that relationship. And then it's so hard when viewers are like, don't you feel bad? Like they were telling you the truth. And it's like, yeah, I mean, now I'm starting to feel bad, because it's like, yeah, I get what people are seeing, but they weren't feeling what I was feeling. They didn't go through like the several hours of airport hanging out, and like even just, they didn't even tell us to exchange currency. Like we had to figure that out on our own. If you're going to help us, we're new to this. You know what you're doing. And then they were huddled in a corner, like hiding their currency exchange. And so you remember those little things when you're playing this game. It's not just, oh, we have an alliance. No.
That's it.
And actually, we held true to our alliance, and we didn't U-turn them.
Yeah, that was just all the alliance was. There was no
alliance.
U-turn. I guess Victor held up to that. So
exactly, right?
Yeah.
No, but it was an epic moment in race history to be able to be a part of, and I don't know, it was exciting, and Brett and I, at the end of the day, we, whether the move was good or bad, we got our way. So
yeah, and you guys did awesome. You guys killed that leg.
You guys, congratulations.
And even
to
with
guys.
like the emotional of knowing, like you just kind of got in a little bit of a fight, and like you just completely took that out of your head and you just went for it. And that's like so good, because for me, it's so hard to, when someone, like you just did something and then it's just in my head. So I'm like, oh my God, something bad is going to happen. And you guys just freaking you owned it and you just took it and you freaking almost got first. So we're just so happy for you guys. It was a really fun episode to watch of you two, like on the boat when you guys did your little
fist bump.
Yeah, fist bump. That was so cute. I was like, oh, like I loved watching it.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it last night. What was fun watching is we don't know sometimes what the other side of these challenges are, and I didn't know what y'all did over there with the cow.
Yeah, we wanted to ask you about the haymaking too. So someone had to like cut the hay, and then someone had to rake it.
Right. So you got there and you had this like big, sigh thing, this cutting thing, and it was really sharp, but you had to cut it. You not only had to cut it, but you had to cut it down a certain amount.
Oh, the height mattered.
Yeah. So they wanted it cut, like they wanted it down. So when you're cutting, like, some people were just flying down to the end of it. Well, they really weren't getting okay because they didn't have enough grass, and B, it just wasn't cut enough. So I took my time trying to like really cut it down and get us enough of the grass. And then Brett kind of raked it, and then I stacked it, and I don't know, we got through it pretty quick. Because we were like maybe in third or fourth when we got there, and then we got through it in
that's
second.
crazy.
But then, of course, when running out of the place, we got passed by everybody. But my boy came through on the bow.
Yes.
On the crossbow.
He did awesome.
He nailed it quick.
Sarge.
And that Sarge gave us the lead going into the boat thing, So it was a cool leg. We had a blast on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome, and I'm happy you guys, are doing well and kind of like in your rhythm now. And we're trying to get back up there, but at least we're still in it.
It's crazy. It's like you go up and down, and you just got to expect it. Like once you start getting in the back, it's like you got to try to get up, but it changes. Anything can change.
I mean, yeah, anything can change anything at any moment. So, I mean, the bow and arrow thing, the crossbow, that could have changed anything for anybody.
Yeah.
Right?
And then you got, how it is. The race is designed. You just get through the leg, and you probably have a chance to catch up somewhere.
Equalizer. Yep.
There's an equalizer. There's a bottleneck somewhere coming. And if you can just get to that, well, heck, you're back in. It's go time. Mm-hmm. You're back in this. You're going. So it's, there's always a chance. Always a chance.
And just on a quick side note, what are your kids thinking watching you now? Now on Amazing Race.
They love it. They get into it. They get. My son Coster was so nervous in Uganda. He was like, "Oh my!" Or he was not Uganda. No, the first Switzerland leg. We were all like, it was down to us and the O'Reillys, and we were chasing, and we didn't even know you guys were behind us, and we were like, "Oh no, we're going to be last." And he was so nervous. I was like, "Are you nervous, buddy?" And he was like, "Yes, I'm nervous." It was really, really funny. So it's always they get a kick out of watching all that stuff, and of course they think I can, they have this false
Superman.
sense that I'm Superman. I can do anything. They're like, you can do that, you can do that. I'm like, you'll see someday.
That's so cute.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I mean, I can remember so many stories that I was trying to pry out of you because that lawyer stuff really interests me. And so we definitely talked a lot in the airports, and it was nice to have somebody to talk to. And so I really appreciate that. But thank you for being on the show with us. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you soon. Yeah. We'll definitely see you soon.
No doubt. I look forward to seeing you guys soon, and hopefully we can all get together and see talk about this stuff some more after it's all said and done.
All right. Sounds good, bud. You have a good rest of your day. Get to work. All right.
All right, buddy. You guys be good.
All right. Bye. All right, so I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Chris. He's always he was always fun to talk to. So I've said that enough. So I guess we will segue into our weird or normal segment. So Nicole, take it away. I think you have something.
Okay, so my brother and his girlfriend actually brought this up, and they have different opinions. So do you guys think it's weird or normal to sit on the same side as like your significant other when you're in a restaurant, and then there's just like no one on the other side, whether it's a booth or a table?
So for me, I think if it's a booth, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we do both, though. You and me do both, right?
Yeah, we both want the booth.
Well, yeah, no, we both want the booth, but sometimes we'll sit next to each other in the booth, and other times we'll sit across from each other in the booth, I guess, just depending on the day.
I guess that is kind of true. And like the view, maybe?
Yeah, and the view. I always like to be facing, is that weird? I always like to be facing the door. Like where people come in. I don't know, because I just feel like something happens, I'm ready, and I can see what's going on, opposed to having my back to the door. It just kind of freaks me out. But to your point, though, if we're at a table, and I don't even see how you would sit right next to me
We
at a
still
table.
do sometimes, though.
But do you mean right next to me or at the corner of, right? So you'd be sitting, and then if it's a square table, we are taking two separate sides of the table.
Yeah, sometimes we sit, so there's 4 chairs, and sometimes we sit on the same side of the table, don't we?
I don't think because tables aren't typically big enough to accommodate that anyway. You know what I mean?
No, it's a 4-person table. It's a 4-person table.
Yeah, so there's 4 sides to the table, right? So there's 4 corners.
It's 2 and 2. Like when we would go eat at Firehouse, we always sat on the same side.
Got you.
You know what I mean? We always did
Like
that.
a rectangular table, like
Yeah,
longer.
we always did that.
With no chairs on the side. Okay. So yeah, sometimes we do that.
I guess it just depends on the day. So we're not like consistent with one or the other.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's weird and I wouldn't say it's normal. I mean, because it just changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the more weird thing is, because do you care if your back is to the front door?
Sometimes, yeah. No, I do like to face out too, and I just realized that. But I don't think of it as like protection. I just think I like to look out too.
Okay, well, what if the door wasn't necessarily where all the windows were facing out? So let's say the door is on the side.
I know exactly when I walk into a restaurant which seat I want. Do I always take it? No, because I'm not going to be rude, because I feel like everyone wants the same seat. But like when I'm walking and I know where we're sitting, there's definitely one spot that like always I'm drawn to. And depending on who I'm with, I'll take it or I won't. Like
with me, you always take it because you're comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I'll take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know what I'm drawn to one spot. I'm not sure why it is.
I think it's like the view of what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, like...
I don't really like to have my back to a lot of things either. Just naturally, not really.
Well, the thing is, for me, it's not even to everything that's going on. It's just to that front door. Like
I think
I'm saying,
I like to see my food coming out. I like to be able to see the like the food coming, which is normally the same way as facing the door in most spots around where we live. It's like if you can see the food, you can see. I think that's what it is. I don't think I want to like look over my shoulder looking for the food to come out. That's a little obvious. But like if I'm just like talking to you and I can see, ooh, here comes the food.
You know, I like the food being a pleasant surprise.
You know what I like to do? Go to the bathroom when I think it's about to come out.
And then come out and have the food be on the table.
90% of the time it's on the table.
Yeah.
It's like a weird game I play, but and I'm like really disappointed if it's not. Like, oh man.
That is interesting. I don't think that sounds like a fun game to try, but I'm always like scared that they'll forget something. And then I have to be there to like, hey,
really?
I need this, or can you get me some ketchup or steak sauce or, you know, whatever. Yeah, you play dangerous games, Nicole.
Yes, I'm risque.
But thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure, we do got to do our reviews. I almost cut you guys off. But do rate, review, and subscribe, because we do read the reviews, and it's something that, like I always say, it drives us, it makes our day, and you guys are awesome for doing it. So, Nicole, take it away.
This one is called Too Legit to Quit from a Kansas fan. This is legit one of my favorite podcasts. Victor and Nicole's conversational style of interviewing guests make you feel like you are part of the conversation. They discuss relevant topics and feature interesting guests. My favorite segment is the Weird or Normal and Spanish word of the day. This podcast is so entertaining, and it's truly too legit to quit. Keep up the great work, and cheering for you both on the amazing race. Thank you.
That's nice. Yeah, that is really nice. And I have a review, and it happens to be from one of our fellow racers, Colin Gwynn. So thank you so much, Colin. It's titled So Authentic. Wow. Just listened to my first Coco Caliente podcast, and it's an instant favorite of mine. These two are so real and authentic, so loving, and such great listeners to their guests. Bottom line, I felt way better and uplifted at the end of the podcast. A great way to start the day. Thanks, Nick and Vic. Heart, 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 heart.
Thanks, Colin. We love you.
That makes a tear come to my eye. Thank you so much, Colin. Yeah, no, it's awesome. And like I said, like these reviews really uplift us. And another place, again, that I'll say that was uplifting was Switzerland. And I bring that up because we are partnered up with Travelocity. And if you ever want to go anywhere that's the most beautiful place that you've ever been in your life.
Yeah, no, literally breathtaking. Despite all the drama, like it's still my favorite place. And it's like so breathtaking. Like it's a storybook. Yeah, like just driving through the countryside and going to those towns, I mean, it's amazing. And you can do that if you go to www.travelocity.com/amazing-destinations. And they'll have everything you need there with all the locations that we've been to on the race. So even if you want to go to Japan or Vietnam or Laos. Dubai. There's so many cool places.
They have it all there for you. Easy, one place. They'll give you the lowest prices guaranteed, and they'll make it hassle-free. So again, that's travelocity.com/amazing-destinations. So anyways, thank you guys for listening. Again, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. You can listen to this podcast wherever you're listening right now. So thank you. But anybody else that's curious, any of your friends, they can listen on Google Play, Stitcher,
iTunes,
Spotify. That's the one that always miss me. Or you can always go to www.cococalientepodcast.com. You can listen there and also get some merchandise, which I love our merchandise. The mugs are really cute. Anyways, thank you guys
so much.
Bye-bye.